The digital cage continues to be built all around us, and you're not even noticing. What am I talking about? What's going on with my hair? So, as of 10th of July 2027, the EU's new anti-money laundering laws come into force. What do they say? Well, they say that there will be a hard ban on any cash transactions, business-related cash transactions of over €10,000, just banned completely. Any transactions, cash transactions between €3,000 and €10,000 will require both parties to go into some form of digital identity verification process before they can send and transact the money. And some countries, if they wish to, can bring in lower level limits than that. So effectively, the use of cash for any business transactions, you want to buy a car, you want to transact by buying an expensive item in a shop, anything at all, anything more than €10,000 you can't do it. Between 3 and 10,000, then you have to fully identify both sides of a transaction before you can do it. But it's not just cash. People that have been putting their money into cryptocurrencies and digital currencies because you thought it might protect your anonymity, your privacy, Bitcoin, for example. No. No wallets are allowed to be held in EU territories anonymously, none. So you can't hold your money anonymously. And any transactions over €1,000 will be flagged up and will be subject to an investigation, and both parties will be subject to an investigation. They will trigger various identity and self-identity obligations. So any sort of transactions that you want to do, whether that's cash, whether it's digital currency, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin, of any size at all, bear in mind €1,000 is only, 850 quid at the moment, not a huge amount of money. Any transactions at all are going to trigger red flags, and it's going to trigger the need for you to verify your identity and use digital identity to verify by. Not only that, but in 2029, the digital euro comes into force. So there's a very good chance that although by mid-2027 your use of cash is going to be heavily restricted, by at some point 2029, cash may go completely. Now bear in mind the widespread ramp up of digital identity, the widespread ramp up of surveillance, CCTV, of facial recognition, of the linkage of digital ID and digital euros and digital currencies to policing authorities, directing to tax authorities. In this country, HMRC have got the ability to dip straight into your bank account and take money out of it. Effectively, you're having a cage built around you where any sort of financial transaction that you do is going to be subject to monitoring, subject to flagging up if they don't like it, subject to cancelling if they just don't feel it's appropriate. Your life is going to become completely controlled financially within the next 4 years, if you live in the EU. But let's bear in mind that we are trying to align more closely with the EU under this current government. Do you really think the EU are going to bring in one set of rules, and little old Britain just floating just off the coast of France is going to have a completely separate set of rules? Of course not. What happens there is going to happen here. Bear in mind they've already told us that digital currencies, centrally issued digital currencies like by the Bank of England or the European Central Bank, will be programmable. That means that they can control what you spend your money on. They can put in and build in limits to how much you can spend, what you can spend, where you can spend it, what you can spend it on. They can even make it extinguishable after a certain date. So if you get paid €1,000 by your company and you don't spend it within 3 months, it disappears after 3 months. They can program the currency to do anything they want. This is a fact. I'm not making this up. There are multiple people talking about this. The Bank of England have confirmed it. So you can't use cash, or you won't be able to use cash, or if you do use cash, it's going to be completely regulated, completely monitored, and both parties involved in it are going to have to register, and that transaction is going to have to be registered. And even then, there's going to be a hard cap on the limit of it. You can't use Bitcoin, you can't use Ethereum, you can't use cryptocurrencies, because any expenditure above €1,000, again, is going to trigger identification of all parties involved. And the money that they give you to eventually replace cash, they can program to control what you spend it on, when you spend it, and where you spend it. Does the future sound good to you? We have to say no. We have to not comply. We have to show them by any means necessary that we're not going to allow this. If you go along with it, you are a fool, because you're effectively padlocking yourself into their own box. This cage is being built around us all the time, bit by bit by bit by bit, law by law by law, all over the world. You have to say no.